What is up, everyone? Welcome to Rick Brown Live. We should actually be streaming live on YouTube right now, as well as Facebook, as well as on my Facebook page. I think I finally got this tech stuff down. I have a new backdrop. I'm excited. I have new lights. I'm excited about that. We are almost professional. Almost. Today, we have my friend, once again, Mr. Tyson Priest. There he is. Oh,
hey, Rick.
We need to talk about your taste in football teams, man.
Appropriate attire?
Oh, yeah, I'm tired of it, that's for sure. How you doing, buddy?
Suppose you're going to give me some... Good, man. Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm going to turn my mic up a little bit. I think it's a little low.
I'm guessing you're going to give me some jargon. Yeah, I hear you good. You're going to give me some jargon about the Colts or something?
Of course. Maybe we should put a friendly wager on who will have the best record this year. Assuming we have a season. Okay, forget I said that. I'm trying to keep this coronavirus-free zone. We want to talk about fun things. We want to talk about really, really good stuff. So what's happening with you right now, Tyson?
Right now, I am looking out my window, watching it rain, watching cars drive by, and actually, I just finished a mission on Fallout. So how about that?
Explain that to the people who don't know what Fallout is.
Yeah, so it's a video game. I play Fallout Game of the Year. Anyway, it's basically a post-nuclear world where everything's wiped out. And in this particular game, you play in the city of Boston, and Boston's been wiped out by nuclear warfare, and you got to learn to survive and make ends meet. And somebody stole your kid, so you got to hunt down whoever stole your kid. And I don't know, it's just mind-numbing stupidity, I think. But
yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out to my wife Jill, who commented she's here, and to my friend Mike Brumback, who's here, the Wolfman. What's up, Michael? How are you? Glad you guys have joined us. Those are the people who have spoken up who are here anyway. We have more viewers than that.
Awesome.
So, I've never played Fallout. I've heard of it, but I'm not I'm not much of a gamer. I play games when they come out years later. Like right now, I'm playing a game called Watch Dogs, which is like 5 or 6 years old. But a student of mine said that I would like it, and that student was right. It is an amazing game. There's a Watch Dogs 2 that I'll play when I'm finished with this one that came out just a year or two ago, I think.
Okay.
But Watch Dogs, the first one anyway, you're in Chicago, and you're a hacker. And you're like this vigilante guy who like, that's hard to explain.
Sure.
But you, how do you explain it? Basically, you've been involved in some shady stuff.
Okay.
And someone kills your niece. It was like a collateral damage thing. And so you are like after that person who did, or trying to find out who did it to go after them. But you have, and it's what I like about it. Actually, this is going to fit into we're going to talk about our top 10 books. This kind of fits into that in a couple places. But it talks about you can hack. The city has like this overreaching network where like everything's connected, and there's some shady stuff going on with it. But you have this tool that lets you hack into their network, and you can see cameras, you can see. You have facial recognition where it like tells you about someone as you're walking by them. It's a very interesting game, but it's fun. And I like games. Yeah. I like games that have a really good story. Yeah. I don't want to just play the game. I want to live the story too. And my favorite games, which maybe we'll get in. This is a future top 10.
I know what I think I know what you're going to say.
Maybe our top 10 video games of all time.
That would be cool. Yes.
The only problem with that is like 8 of those 10 are probably going to be football games for me. But I really like the Assassin's Creed series. That's my favorite non-sports game to play.
Yeah, I tried that and I just couldn't get into it. I tried like the Assassin's Creed of 1776 or the Revolutionary War.
I picked the worst one. You picked the one that was not the worst one. Don't get me wrong, but you picked the worst one to jump into because that one was weird. Yeah, that one was
I
really
couldn't.
weird.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it. It was like, what's going on?
Because you start
here?
out,
Why-
this is a little bit of a spoiler alert. You start out, every other game, it kind of explains how you jump into the past or whatever. And in that one, you actually start out as a bad guy for a short time, and then it swaps you over to the good guy. It's really weird. But yeah, it's a fun game. I love that game.
Yeah, I couldn't figure. I just couldn't figure. I just couldn't figure it out.
I think if you'd start from the beginning, you'd like it.
There's no way I'm playing all of those starting.
Do you like history? Do you like history?
I do like history. Yes,
See, I love history. That's part of the.
In fact, we'll probably
my
get into
wife
it.
watches me play because she likes history and the storyline. I mean, it uses real people and real events.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
kind of puts you in that mode. It's awesome.
Well,
it's a perfect game.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because my son bought Fallout. He bought that, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I'll play it, see how it is, and I really like it. You kind of have to. You're kind of this mercenary for hire, but it's not a thing where you're like just going out and randomly killing everybody, and you have to put pieces of puzzles together and figure out backstories of, I've been in a cryogenic sleep for 200 years. What's been happening, kind of thing. And you literally are going around Boston. You go into Fenway Park.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the map of Boston is realistic, so it's
That's
pretty
good.
Cool.
It's like Assassin's Creed is like that, where you go and it's pretty realistic to where you're at.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs isn't that good at that. I thought it was at
Gotcha.
first. I mean, it's Chicago, and it has some of the basic things, but you could tell. I don't know if they couldn't get rights for things, but there are some things that they make a little bit different, or they call something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Well, like Wrigley Field, for example, is not there. They basically take Wrigley Field. They take Wrigley Field and Kaminsky. Where are the Blackhawks? Oh my gosh, where are the White Sox?
The White Sox.
I forget what the name of their stadium is now, but
why'd you put me on the spot?
It was Kaminsky, right? But now it's like, isn't it named after something? I don't know. Who cares about the White Sox? They're all horrible. Go Cubs.
Yeah, they're on the south side anyway.
Anyway, and then they take those two and Soldier Field and kind of combine them all into one stadium, so you can see little aspects of all of them. Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand that. But and then like the Bean, the
the Bean,
big it's like it's way different. And it's not way different.
See,
but you can tell what it is, but then they call it something else. I don't know.
Don't tell me you're in a city, Chicago, Boston, New York, wherever, and the map not be at least realistic. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really diehard on realism in video games because I get their video games, but on the same hand, if you're telling me it's a city, make it the city.
Yeah. Eric Jimenez says it's guaranteed rate field. See, I knew it was something else. I couldn't think of what it was.
Guaranteed rate.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah.
The White Sox?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. All right. Gotcha. Okay. So be it. Yeah, I'm not, but I don't, I play all of the Batman Arkham games, cleared all of those, probably spent way too much time doing it. But
I'm not a big superhero person. And everybody thinks that's weird because I like almost every nerdy thing there is.
Yeah.
I don't like the Marvel movies. I mean, not that I don't
Really?
like them. I like them.
Yeah.
The ones I've seen are like, that's a good movie. But it's like, oh my gosh, the next Marvel movie's out. I got to go see it.
Yeah,
I just don't live in that world. And I can't keep up with all the people and what they do and who they are. And I don't have the time to mess with it. So I just don't. I never was. When I was a kid, I liked comic books, but I had Superman and I had Spider-Man and Archie. Does that count?
And Archie, yeah, because he's a hero.
And that was pretty much it.
Okay, well.
Oh, hey, Aunt Betty's here again. Hi, Aunt Betty. I think she's going to end up being like our. You know how there's like one person that all the fans love? I think it's going to be Aunt Betty.
Yes, it's Aunt Betty. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, Aunt Betty. I don't know you, but welcome. And if
She's
Rick
awesome.
says you're awesome, you're awesome.
She lives
So,
near Dallas.
oh, then she's awesome.
Of
She's a
course,
Texan.
right. Um, but yeah, I'm just not. I don't
See,
know why.
I grew up watching Super Friends, right? The Justice League
Yeah,
or whatever. The cartoon on Saturday morning.
absolutely. Justice League.
Totally dug it. I was like,
Yeah, me
man, I
too.
can't wait. Hurry up and wolf down these Lucky Charms so I can get to Super Friends, right?
Right.
And then the Wonder Twins were always like, Wonder Twin activate. And why did she always get the cool stuff like the super lemur alien tiger that's green and yellow, and he turns into a mop bucket? I mean,
Right.
like
I know
he
you
was
can't
always.
see. You can't see these captions, but Aunt Betty said she's awesome. She says, "I am awesome."
But like, so I got into that, right? And he always turned
Right.
into water, and I didn't really ever read comics. I just thought they were. If I'm going to be frank, I thought they were a waste of time. And I'll probably touch on that more when we get to our top 10 books. But I started, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago. I had some friends that were really into it growing up. So 3 or 4 years ago, I reconnected with some of those friends, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to dive in. I went to the public library and I rented a couple of comic books, and I thought, I'm going to see what these are really all about. Dude, that was the fastest, easiest reading I've ever done in my life. I mean, they just move. And now I was going, okay, wait a minute, I get it. And I get the storyline, I get the
Yeah.
creativity behind it. So I've kind of become a bit of a nerd just in the last 4 or 5 years. Now,
I
those who
can't say that. I've always been a nerd.
no, those who know me may be like, no, you were a nerd a long time ago, but
I'm probably the least nerdy now than I've ever been, which is not
I
a
am
lot.
more nerdy now than I ever have been, which is weird.
You know,
But
I mean, I do one, I guess, nerdy faux pas. You know, most nerds tend to be either like Star Wars people or Star Trek people. I like both,
I
and I
do
like
too.
both. I like both about equally well for different reasons.
I like Star Wars. I'm a little more Star Wars, but I would say I'm probably about 60-40.
I would say lately I'm more Star Wars just because there's been more and better
Right.
things lately.
Yeah.
I think the newer Star Treks have been okay, but they're not
Right.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh-oh. You just offended somebody.
I know. Um, but
Well,
it seems like I like the new Star Wars more than most nerdy people do. I think they're really
really,
good. I don't really have even
I think they're
get this.
okay.
I even think Jar Jar Banks is okay. He's not
Yeah,
good. He's not good. I understand. I think there was a.
okay.
I think that there was a story that was coming out about Jar Jar that they were
Uh-oh.
setting up, and
Are you
because there was such
conspiracy
a bad
theorist?
backlash, they abandoned it. That's my Jar Jar Binks theory. I think that they purposely made him annoying, and they were going to redeem him in the next one, and there was such a backlash. They said, "Oh, never mind."
Interesting theory. But he was such a key part to the movie. I could easily see them going, "Hey, let's chase the storyline. Let's give." Hey, I know people that absolutely hate Jar Jar Binks, and they can't even stand to watch
I know.
screen.
Yeah, I have those
Um,
too.
and I know but I don't find him that annoying. I keep him in his place. He's supposed to be this comic relief, goofy, stupid creature. He does it. They pull it off with him. So
Yeah,
I don't think.
Richard Harvey
Yeah.
asked how they could have redeemed him. I think that we would have found out either he had some ability, or I know there's been that theory where he was like this drunken thing. What a I can't remember what it's called now.
I think
Where
he
you
is.
pretend to be drunk, but you're really not, and you're really fighting or whatever. Like you pretend to be an idiot, but you're really this awesome martial arts
Actually,
fighter thing.
that's in Sun Tzu's Art of War, is to allow your enemy to think that you're an idiot.
Oh, here, what Eric Jimenez says, I thought Yoda was annoying in The Empire Strikes Back. And see, now I think Yoda was the same way. I think, because Yoda was
Initially,
pretending
yeah.
to be annoying, he was
Yeah.
to kind of test Luke. And he ended up being,
Right,
Yoda.
like the Jedi. Yeah.
Now,
So
he's not as good as Baby Yoda. I mean, come on.
okay, just stop the nonsense. Seriously. But here's what I think.
Hating on our show. When does the sports part of the show start? We already talked about how bad the Bears are, so you missed that part. You have to tune in. You have to tune in earlier if you're going to see the sports part, Justin.
I honestly think you redeem Jar Jar not by giving him some superpower, because we already talked about the comic books and the superheroes. I think you redeem Jar Jar. He is some relationship to the Gungan king, and whether it's a nephew or a black sheep of the family twice removed, and he's done it because we never really knew why he got kicked out of the Gungans, did we? So there's a whole backstory there that maybe he's connected to the king and he's done something horribly awful and he gets kicked out. Now, I think that maybe he is the Otis of Mayberry, the town drunk. Maybe he's the Gungan town drunk, and he did something to embarrass his king uncle. I don't know, but to me, that's how you.
So basically, you're saying he is the Tommy Boy of the Star Wars universe, or what's the other one?
Yes.
Or Black Sheep? I guess they're both kind
He's
of the
same. Black Sheep, Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, same storyline. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. In fact, I could see Jar Jar sitting in front of a fan saying, "Luke, I am your father."
All right, let's get into our top 10 favorite books. I think this discussion might go a little bit long. And actually, our discussion last week about music went way, way longer than I expected. I always thought these would be about 20 or 30 minutes. And last week was like an hour and a half. We'll see.
Oh, dear. All right.
You're probably going to see a theme in my books. I actually don't read a lot. It's funny that the second thing I chose for our top 10 list is top 10 books, because I don't read a lot. But when I do read, it's because it's something important that I really like.
I do. Let me just say this, the caveat. On my end, I read a lot. And I will say this. Any pastor who is worth their salt should be an absolute consumer. And should be studying. And let me also say this: as a pastor, any pastor who's truly worth their salt or worth their weight in gold should be one of the most educated, most studied people in their community. There, I said it. So,
I agree with that.
All right, you tell me when we're ready to roll. I got my stack of books.
Yeah, Tyson's actually going to show physical books. I'm just going to have my titles come up on the screen. On all of mine, there's going to be like a little Amazon link, and I know you can't really click on it on this. With the software I'm using, I can't add little cards like I could if I was doing it directly on YouTube. But they're kind of short. They're shortened Amazon links. If you want to check them out. I tried to pick the cheapest ones I could find of those, because most of these are older, and there's like a bazillion different versions of them. But so they'll be up hopefully long enough for you to check out. And we're going to have our first ban from our list here. Your sister said Hunger Games. I'm trying to figure out how to ban people from this now. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like Hunger Games. I did read
her right now.
I did read. Well, I actually didn't read them. I listened to them on a trip. Yeah. My whole family listened to the Hunger Games. I actually thought they were pretty good. They're not on my top 10 list, but I thought they were
right on.
Okay, go ahead. Give me your top 10. Or not your top 10. Give me your number 10. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with number 10. This book was instrumental in getting me from the corporate world to being a pastor and chasing my dream. And that is 48. I don't know if you can see it. I got a window glare going on. 48 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller.
48 Days to the Work You Love.
Yep. Now, it's all about, yeah, go ahead.
It's okay if I talk about our mastermind group, isn't it?
Yeah, I can talk about your mastermind group. Somebody may want to jump in.
Okay, we're in a mastermind group that Tyson leads. It's called the 2% Mastermind Group. And for those of you who don't know what a mastermind group is, because I didn't know until Tyson told me, it's basically a group of kind of high. How do you explain it better than I do? You explain it. What's a mastermind group?
All right, so a mastermind group is a group of people that are going to put tension on your dreams, things that you think you want to accomplish, and they're going to push and drive you to accomplish those dreams. Now, some people just have a bucket list. Some people actually want to change careers. Some people want to start their own business. Some people just need Maybe it's for spiritual reasons. Maybe they have whatever your need is. It could be I want to lose weight. Well, join the mastermind group. We're here. Yeah.
I put your website up on the screen here just so if people want to.
Okay.
If they go to your website, they can find a way to contact you there, and if they're interested. It's a pretty cool thing. I honestly was skeptical about it at first when Tyson asked me. I was like, I'm not sure that's for me, man. But I really enjoy it, and I get a lot from it. Actually, part of this kind of came from that. It's like, because we're part of that is, how can I say this? Like it's very motivating. That's an easy way to say it.
Let me just say this.
Aaron Goodpasture says he loves your book.
Oh, thank you. I would say this: if you've got a dream or a vision or something you want to accomplish in life, you need to be in a mastermind group. I'm in one that I don't lead with other people from around the country. And then one of the amazing things as a mastermind group grows is the network gets ginormous, because you decide, hey, I'd like to be able to accomplish this. Well, somebody else in that group goes, wait a minute, I know so-and-so in Kennebunkport, Maine. Let me connect you with them.
Well, even in our small group right now, it's that way. I mean, we've all helped each other a lot just in the short time we've been meeting. I mean, it's been really good.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I said all that to say this.
Move on.
Tyson talks about that book all the time in there in the group. So it does not surprise me that is on your list.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised it's number 10. I'm really curious to know what the rest of the 9 is. So my number 10 book.
What you got?
Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
Ooh.
C.S. Lewis is, I'll tease the list a little further. C.S. Lewis was the only author that appears on my list twice.
Okay.
And the other one's not Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Not a bad book, just not top 10. I love the Screw Tape Letters. It is, to me, it is one of the best spiritual warfare books there is. And it's not nonfiction. It's a story. It's letters written back and forth not back and forth, written from a senior demon to a junior demon on how to be a demon,
right?
Basically, and it's really good. It's very well written and pretty eye-opening.
It's written from the viewpoint of hell. I mean, it's really the enemy is Jesus and the Holy Spirit. The client, I don't think he uses the word client, but the subject is humanity.
Thomas Morgan said his favorite thing to read is a movie. Kind of with you a little bit because I don't read a lot, but when I do, it's stuff I really like. Anyway, so that's my number 1. And again, I'm leaving the link up a little bit, so if anybody wants to jot it down or take a screenshot or something, I'll probably try to figure out a way to put these in the comments or something. I don't know. I guess I could. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. If you want it there, let me some work. I'm not going to spoon feed you people. No,
that's right. That's right. No snowflakes. But that's seriously, right. we went. I took Lynn to a date one time to see the Screw Tape Letters, the play.
There's a play.
There's a play. It's one actor on one set. The set doesn't change, and it.
Does he just sit there and write letters?
Yep, he writes a letter, then he gets a letter back, and then it's bad.
I've never even heard it. It was bad.
There's so much more they could have done with it than just literally one actor the entire time, and the stage does not change.
Well, that can be good, though.
Does not change. No.
That can be okay.
It was bad.
One of my very favorite things is this thing that nobody's ever heard of. But it's by Stephen Banks, another person that most people have never heard of. But he was a writer on SpongeBob SquarePants, which I'm not a big SpongeBob fan, but he was a writer on there, and he did some other stuff like that. But he has this one act. Look, one act. I didn't mean one act. What's it called? I don't know. One person thing called the Stephen Banks Home Entertainment Center. and I saw it as a special on Showtime years ago. I mean like almost 40 years ago, and it's hilarious. It is still one of my very favorite things to watch. I will go back and watch it still every once in a while. I found like a copy of it. It's really good, especially if you really like classic rock kind of things and pop culture, because he references a lot of that stuff. But anyway, really good. We'll have to talk about that'll be a topic for another day. What's your number 9?
Sure. Number 9. Actually, I just finished this. It is again. I'm going to have a window glare. I need to adjust this lighting for next time. But
your quality right now is awful too. You look like you're shooting from a potato. I think it's your internet, because you got that.
It is
that goofy.
I got that janky Century Stink. I'm sorry, Century Link. Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. 10 Commandments for Making Money. He goes through and he talks about why Hebrew people, Jewish people, are proportionately more wealthy than any other people group in the world. And he just talks through that. And he pulls out so much in what we Christians call the Old Testament. Don't ever call the Old Testament to the Hebrew, but
right.
But yeah, but he just pulls so much out of there, and just such a well written book. In fact, I think he's in the process of rewriting it, maybe. But yeah, it's one of those books that once you read it, 5 years later, you should reread it. So, yep,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, my number 9 is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley.
Oh, all right.
And for anyone who knows me, it's a bit out of character for me, because this is what's interesting about it to me. I was forced to read this in 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. It's either 7th or 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. Mr. Zabawa's English class, who was also my chess teacher, because as we've discussed, yes, I am a nerd. Not chess teacher, chess coach. Anyway, but we as a class got to pick, and the two options were Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I'm like, I hate horror. I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror movies at all. Never have, never will. I don't. Go ahead.
Do you know how to make a horror movie enjoyable?
How?
Remove the score from it and just watch it with no sound. It's the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen with the score. But
I don't do horror movies either. I think they're a waste of time and stupid. But anyway,
I just don't. I don't like monster movies. I don't like. It's just not my thing. And I know a lot of people do. It's not. I don't know. It's just not. It's not my thing. And
sure.
So when he presented these choices, I was like, I don't want to read either one of these books. You know, because in my head, I had the B movie. You know,
yeah,
the old black and white monster movies. Like, why on earth would I want to read a book? I hate watching the movie. I definitely want to read a book about it. And then I realized it's not the same at all. It's not even close. The Frankenstein that we see in in those movies is not the Frankenstein for the book, obviously. I mean, Frankenstein isn't even the name of the monster. Come on, people. But
no, Frankenstein's the name of the doctor.
Well, and actually, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, let's see, I don't want to get this wrong because I didn't plan on saying this, but it's knowledge is knowing that Frankenstein is not the monster, but wisdom is knowing Frankenstein is the monster. That's one of my very favorite quotes because it's very true. And it's anyway, it's a fantastic book.
So how is the book different than the movie?
It's not even close. Now, if you want, there's a newer movie. I think it's probably 10 or 15 years old by now, and it's longer. That might be 20 years old by now. Called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. that's closer to the book. They still change the ending a lot, but it's a story about this. So this doctor scientist, he plays God and tries to create life. So he creates this creature by stitching together parts of dead people and trying to reanimate it. And actually, the fascinating thing about this, especially for the time point it was written, the science in it is actually pretty good for the time period. And Mary Shelley actually, I mean, this was, from what I understand, from what I've read later, this was actually discussed in scientific circles at the time. And
I'm surprised.
So Dr. Frankenstein stitches together this creature, reanimates him, however, it's through lightning and all that stuff. And then, so this creature, that's all he's referred to in the book is as the creature. The creature comes alive, and then Dr. Frankenstein's afraid of him and like horrified by what he's created, and basically just leaves him alone. Like tries to just get rid of him. And so the story's about how this creature deals with that. And it's hard to explain.
Wait a minute. The pastor in me's coming out.
A lot of the book is written from the perspective of the creature. I mean, it's not like first person, but it follows him more than Dr. Frankenstein.
A creature abandoned by its creator.
Yeah. It's one. As we mentioned in the song part, I look for deeper connections to things a lot. Sometimes probably too much. I don't know if you've seen Short Circuit. I actually think it's Short Circuit 2 is where this happens. He's like speed reading things. Oh, it might be the first one. I don't remember. He's speed reading a bunch of books in like a library or a bookstore or something. I don't remember what. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. And all of a sudden he stops and he goes, I need to read these two slowly. And one of them was Frankenstein and one of them is Pinocchio, because it's very similar stories. And of course, Pinocchio's not the Disney version.
Right.
And both similar stories, this thing was created, and now what does that mean? It's a fantastic book.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, actually, Thomas Morgan has a really good, I missed some of the chat in here. Sorry, people. But I'm going to show Thomas Morgan's here. He said, actually, it's going to cut off, so I'm going to read the rest of it. It says, the monster has no name in the novel. It's been said this omission is a reflector of Victor Frankenstein's complete rejection of his creation. The monster calls himself the atom of your labors and is referred to as the creature, the fiend, the demon, and the wretch at different points in the book. And that's a very good synopsis of the book and what are the creature in the book. That's really good. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, if you haven't read it, get all the old movies out of your head and read it, and you will like it. Well, you should.
So, okay, I've got a goofy question.
Yeah.
In the book, because I haven't read it, does Frankenstein move slowly and kind of lumber along? It's all
no,
stiff?
Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think he's really strong, and it's been years now since I've read it. But,
well, he's strong in the movies.
Because if I remember right, there's a point where Dr. Frankenstein sees him running like along this, like, because he's trying to get away. I think he goes up north, like way up north, like almost Arctic Circle north. Again, it's been a long time, and I think he sees the creature running in the distance. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this thing's following me." If I remember right, again, it's been a while.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is he's powered by electricity, so I'm thinking like now this dude should be the Flash. Like
he's not the Flash,
but his limbs would fall off if he ran too fast. I mean, hypothetically speaking. And so Frankenstein,
you don't think Dr. Frankenstein did a good job of stitching him up? You're questioning his seamstress abilities.
I am. I wonder at home ec in junior high, could he sew that pillow together? I don't know.
Okay, we're off the rails. What's your number 8?
All right, off the rails.
This is going to go longer than our music one
would say. Oh no. Number 8, a biography on Walt Disney.
Oh, that's
I love Walt Disney. Walt Disney's very inspirational to me. I bought this while we were at Disney World, and I even got it autographed by Pluto and by Mickey Mouse.
How do they autograph with those,
yes, I made
those
my
things in their
family.
hands? How does that work? I've never been to Disney World. I don't know how this
I
works.
don't know. And it doesn't matter which Mickey signs it, they all look the same. Like, I don't know how that works. Are they animatrons?
It's the magic of,
are they
magic of Walt
programmed?
Disney.
But here's
It would be interesting.
what else.
I would like that book.
What?
I might have to borrow that.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. It was. I like biographies. You're going to find that out here in just a minute with my next book. But
I really like biographies too, and there's not a single one on my list. I just realized that when you said that.
I've got two, and they're two of my favorite people. But yes, I actually made my family wait in line to get their autographs in my book. How horrible of a husband and father is that?
But did the kids get to see them when they autographed them?
They did. Yes, and they were like, "Dad, come on, they're not real." That's what they said. No, they're not real, huh?
Oh, yeah. Those win-win.
Yeah, they were older.
Thomas Morgan said it's Mickey Magic. I can't talk today. Why am I doing a live stream? I cannot talk. Sorry. Okay, so your number 8 is Walt Disney. Mine, and this is actually a book I'm currently rereading, Looking for Alaska by John Green. Now, when most people think of John Green, they think, oh my gosh, The Fault in Our Stars, which I also read, and it's okay. And I saw the movie. The movie's okay. And some people are going to not like that I said that, but that's okay. Looking for Alaska, though, fantastic book. And I tell you, I'm going to tell a story on myself. I don't cry very often, but that book made me cry in a couple different places.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, I stay away from that book.
Oh, I mean, and because it's foreshadowed for the entire first half of the book. You know what's going to happen at some point. You just know it.
Really?
And it still hits you like a ton of bricks when it happens. And I'm not going to say anything else. But they actually have they've made it into a TV show now that's on one of the weird channels. I don't know, but I see it on Hulu. And it doesn't do it justice, which, most things like that. Most
usually
books I
like
that. Yeah. There's one exception, and that's actually on my list, where I like the book and the movie equally well. But that's later.
Oh, interesting.
But this one, the TV just I mean, we started to watch it. We made it about 4 or 5 episodes in, and we're like, let's just read the book again. It's why we actually started reading the book again. Jill and I were reading it together. But yeah, I love that book. Highly recommended read. And I looked, there's several versions of it out too for some reason. I don't know why that is on Amazon. So the link that's on there that I put on the screen here, how can I, right there, it has, that's to the cheapest one I found. And a book's a book, right? Doesn't matter. Wow. Thomas Morgan, I'm not going to put it up because I want to link the link up a little bit, but he says, how hard is Alaska to find? It's west of Canada. Alaska's a person, Thomas. It's a person. It's a girl. Justin Bates says, and it's a really big state. You guys are funny. Funny.
It is. It is a big state. It's like half the continental United States. It's massive.
What is your number 7?
Well, my number 7, actually, I stay in the realm of biography, and I don't have a copy with me because I've loaned it out. But The Spiritual Journey of George Washington.
Oh, that's a good book. I've read that book. Yeah. This is the first one. This is the first one. First one you've said that I've read.
Okay. Yeah. So, if you really want to know how spiritual our the father of this country was, read the book. It'll blow you away. George Washington
I love history, as we talked about earlier, and George Washington is my favorite historical person to study and read about. And I've read just about everything I can get my hands on about George Washington.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at my personal, not my Rick Brown Live one, but my personal Facebook link, is facebook.com/Old Muttonhead, and I use Old Muttonhead as a username for most things. Mm-hmm. Old Muttonhead comes from something with George Washington. Early in the Revolutionary War, John Adams didn't really like George Washington at all, and thought he was a terrible commander, which of course was kind of hard to not when he was losing so bad at the beginning. Justin Bates asked if I read 1776. It was on the list, and I replaced it with something else.
Uh-oh.
I have read 1776 by Daniel McAuliffe, and I replaced it with something else. It was tough. This is what's funny. When I thought about doing this topic, I had like 5 books come to my head, like immediately. And then I started all this week kind of slowly adding the books. And right before we went on, I ended up with a list of about 15 books. How am I going to remove some? And 1776 was one of the ones I took off. Anyway, it's a fantastic book too. But what I started to say, John Adams was asked about, George Washington and what he thought about him, in the war. And he responded with, George Washington, that old muttonhead can't win anything. And that's where I got old muttonhead from.
Nice.
Oh, Cassidy. Hey, someone's on my side here. Cassidy Lee says Looking for Alaska is one of my favorites.
Really? Okay, well, maybe I need to look this up.
I really like it. It's really good. It's really, really good.
Okay.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great book and a great. Man, this was such a hard list to put together. I thought it was going to be hard to find books, and it's been hard to not have certain books on.
Oh my gosh, I've got so many books that are not on this list that should be. That
I know it's hard.
My books eventually came down to what have made the most impact in my life, in the direction of my life, other than the Bible. So
my books are pretty much how many times I've reread them.
That's a good criteria. I like that. Actually, that's how my number one book is number one. So
she also said John Green's her favorite author. I like John. John Green used to have. He's been a part of what's that called? Mental Floss, and he had this great series they called like the List series, where he lists a whole bunch of things based on a topic. It was really good. If you're a John Green fan, you should check that out. They have different hosts who do it now, because I don't think he does it anymore. But when he did it, it was the best. All right, my number 7. This is not going to be a surprise to anybody who knows me. 1984 by George Orwell.
Ooh.
It's been on my mind a lot lately since we were talking about that video game I was playing earlier with Watch Dogs. And I said we would talk about it a little bit when we got to the books, and this is why. We are living in 1984 right now. No doubt about it in my mind. It's almost...
How so? I mean, give me some... What do you think? What are some common...
Well, we're watched... You can go anywhere and you're on a camera somewhere. We have devices in our home right now, willingly, that have either cameras or microphones or whatever, and yeah, they're helpful. I have one. I'm not saying, you should or shouldn't have one,
right?
But it's there, and
yeah,
and the potential for abuse is there. The potential to abuse.
Oh, sure it is.
And even if it's not, well, let's take Google, for example. A lot of people like to diss on Google and talk about, and who knows what their, they always had this thing they always talked about. Their motto was "Don't be evil." Who knows if there really are?
Well, define evil.
Yeah, but what if someone, just because the company's not doing something wrong, doesn't mean that someone in the company's not. If you had access to millions of people, can you 100% say you wouldn't ever use it for wrong? What if someone's going through a divorce and someone who works at Google can look up things about their ex-spouse, or their soon-to-be ex-spouse?
Yeah, I don't know how, the ethics of that, it's pretty dangerous.
And the other thing about it is, the thing that happens in George Orwell is, like with news and media, things are spun, and things are, like, for example, they have the Ministry of Love, which is the opposite of that. The Ministry of Truth, which is where they distort the facts. The Ministry of Peace, which is their War Department. And I feel like that we do that. If you look at how, like, things are named in the, in Congress, like the the acts that are they're. I'm always very suspicious by the way they're named. But anyway, I feel like if we're not there, we're just a step or two away from 1984.
Sure. Okay.
All right. What's your number 6?
All right. Number 6. I think this might be. It's more of a representation, because just a quick backstory. I never read fiction. I hate fiction. I hated reading fiction. And then my wife, one year, we're headed to Florida, and she goes, "Why don't you get a fictional book to read on the beach?" And I'm like, "That's the dumbest thing ever." But one of my pastoral mentors said, "You need to unplug and not read nonfiction about church life, psychology, sociology, history. You need to unplug."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, I'll try it." So I rented from the library, because I didn't want to buy a fictional book if I wasn't going to like it. So I rented it from the library. It was Carte Blanche, 007, James Bond book. It came out in 2011. So I don't have that book. But the next book that I read, I enjoyed the fictional book so much that I went to the local bookstore on the beach and bought this book, Pirate Buccaneer by Tim Severin. And he has a whole series. This is pirate historical fiction. So it's a great thing to read on the beach when you're vacationing on an island.
As a Madison Heights graduate, I approve.
This is terrific. Even in the back of what I really like about the back of the book is he will tell you what is actual historical fact and the events that are and where they're located in the book. Everything that this book represents, I now read fiction, but I mostly read his pirate series. He also has this Viking series, Viking historical fiction, and I read James Bond fiction. So there you go.
Cool. All right, my number 6. This is the one that I like the movie and wait a minute. This is the best comment of the whole show so far. Michael Brumback.
Uh-oh.
Walk tall, be proud. Yes, baby. Walk tall, be proud.
There you go.
All right. This is the book that I like the movie and the book equally well. It is The Princess Bride by William Goldman.
Oh my. Are you serious? You're being serious, aren't you?
I am being dead serious. It is Please
explain this.
Okay. For those of you who've seen the movie is fantastic. Excellent movie. It is one of my top movies. I'll probably do that show at some point. The movie's great. There's action. Like the grandpa says in the beginning scene, there's action, there's adventure, there's love, or true love. And it's the book is even deeper than the movie. Like the book is about a book. It's a book about a book.
Right.
It's not like the movie's about the guy reading the book. Well, the book is about a guy who read the book. I mean, it's written from the perspective of like someone who like found this book and read it, and
okay,
and it's supposed to be like a true story, and he's going to like research the story. It's a fantastic book, even if I see it as almost separate from the movie. I mean, the story, of course, is very, very similar, and the characters are the same, and the actual story is the same, but the book around the story is really, really good.
Okay. Huh.
I mean,
if you watch, I haven't read the book, but I've watched the movie a few times, and even the movie's got these points that are deeper than the comedy that's in the movie. I mean, it's almost like it was written with a serious point, and they just layered comedy on top of it to get their point. Yep. I mean, to hide
And William Goldman, not only did he author the book, he also wrote the screenplay for the movie, but he also has written many other screenplays, including like Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, along with a bunch of others. He has another book that I had on the list. This was one of the ones I had to take off to put something else on. He has a book about how to write screenplays that is fantastic. It is very, very well written on its own.
Nice.
Even if you're not interested in writing, it's a fantastic book. And I almost had it too, but I had too many. I had to cut something, and it was okay. It ended up below the top 10 line. But if you've seen the movie and you like the movie, you will love the book. All right, top 5. We're in our top 5 now. What you got?
Okay, top 5. I'm going to venture into philosophy and Christian apologetics.
Philosophy is the talk on a cereal box. Just saying.
What? No.
Do you not know that
Saving
song?
Truth. No. Am I missing something? What
you don't know that song? Philosophy is a talk on a cereal box. Religion. You don't know that song? It's
no.
I can't think of her name. Edie Brickell. Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians.
Okay. Anyway.
Sorry.
Sure. Abdu Murray, former Muslim, converted to Christianity, understudy of Ravi Zacharias, who recently diagnosed with cancer.
I know who none of those people are.
Well, anyway, basically, he talks about increasingly Western culture defines personal freedom as whatever works. The result, people are more anxious, more fearful, and less happy than ever. So,
true.
Yeah, it's a deep book, and he gets into all sorts of stuff that I'm sure would offend somebody. So you have to read it with an open mind, but excellent read.
Cool.
Yep. How about you, man?
Number 5, we're going to go back to this topic, Fahrenheit 451.
That almost made my list.
Fantastic book. Oh, yeah. Yep.
There it is. Almost made my list. Yeah, I was like wrestling with it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I love that book.
If you take Fahrenheit in 1984, I think we're somewhere in the crosshairs.
Yeah, I agree with that. My wife said something about. She said Tim Tebow wrote a great tribute to Ravi Zacharias.
Yeah, I saw that. It was really good. So, what?
And Thomas Morgan says he's happy. I don't know what he means by that.
I'm happy too. It's just one big happy world.
Right. What's your number 4?
Okay, number 4. Transforming. I can't even talk.
Transforming? See, it's contagious, and now you can't talk either.
It is. It's come through the microphone and the speakers. I did it again. Transforming Church in Rural America. Just a book on how to start, grow, and this whole church planting movement is now moving into rural America and small towns, and how to have multiple campuses in small towns. So anyway, there you go.
Cool. Are you giving us a hint about the river? Is this are you?
It's a need to know basis. What you got, man?
To change the subjects. Number 4, Lord of the Flies. Ooh, William Golding.
Yeah, I read that in high school. Yeah.
And as another book I was forced to read, I didn't want to read it, and absolutely loved every second of it.
I only read that.
Such an amazing book.
I read that book once in high school, and I still refer to it.
Yep.
So
me too.
Yeah.
Actually, it's one of the few on this list that I have only read one time, and I keep saying I'm going to read it again, and I just don't read very much. So
right.
It is. You know what? Now that I say that, I think Jill and I might have listened to it on a road trip, like when early in our marriage.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. She'll have to confirm or deny that. Maybe we talked about it and we didn't, because I don't know. But
okay.
Oh, I love that book. Fantastic book.
Good book.
Okay, what's your number 3?
Okay, number 3. This is the book that set me over the edge on how we were going to start our church. what it was going to be like. Simple Church by Tom Rainer. He basically, crux of the book says churches have way too much going on. They're too complicated, and we've made them too busy to be of any effect. And so when we launched the river, that was our intent. Keep it simple. Don't get over inundated with a bunch of programs and processes. So
Richard Harvey put a link on, said the real Lord of the Flies, what happened when 6 boys were shipwrecked for 15 months. That's interesting. I'm going to read that when we get off. I can't link to it here in the video, but if you're watching on Facebook, it's on a Facebook comment. If you're watching on my Facebook live stream, not the page, you can click on the link from there. But I'm very interested in that. And Thomas Morgan said, I think the high school is the last time I read a book. I'm sensing a theme in your books, Tyson. I'm sensing a theme.
Well, yeah, maybe. You'll probably see a theme in the last 2 too. So
all right, we're on our top three books. This is another one that probably won't surprise people. It might surprise people that it's not number 1, people who know me, maybe. But it is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. And if this book was hard for me to get through, one, because it's so stinking long. And there are parts of it that are so stinking slow that it's like, I just want this part to end. Can we please get to the next part? Please, right now. Because it's
wow.
There's one whole huge chapter that is just one huge monologue by one character. And I barely had the attention span for it. But it is such a good book. And this is, again, one of those books that while I said we're in 1984, we're either at 1984 or we're really close.
Right.
We're in this book right now. We are in Atlas Shrugged and have been for a while.
Wow. Okay.
It's, you have to get, Ayn Rand is very anti-religion because she's all about me, which, there's parts of the book, she doesn't go massively into it. That big monologue does, but part of what she says about religion is true, but I don't buy into 100% of her political and social philosophies.
Right.
But this book
right.
is 99% accurate, I think. And it's very well written. It's a great story. You want to know what's happening next. But if you look at it through the lens of what's happening, this was written in the 40s. And if you look at it through the lens of what's happening in our society right now, it's dead on.
Okay.
I'll give you one example. One of the main characters in the book is, he's a guy that owns this metal company. His name's Hank Reardon, and he owns Reardon Metal. And he invents this new type of steel. He calls it Reardon steel because apparently he has no creativity in naming things. And his company's named that, his steel's named that. But it's light as far as like weight, but it's like strong. And the government basically tries to take it from him and says that it's with the economy tanking like it is important that the society has this and we can't afford it. So the government is going to take it from you. And it's now illegal for you to make it and sell it. The government's going to do it. And this is just one example of something that happens in the book. And literally when he refuses to just sign it over to them, they have this scientific commission, name his steel, like basically say, we've tested his steel and it's not strong and it's unsafe to use. So, we recommend you not using it. I can't remember if they come just short of say making it illegal. And then the main character of the book, is, she runs a railroad company with her brother, and she built a bridge out of this metal in defiance of everyone else. And everyone said, oh my gosh, when the train goes over this bridge, it's all going to fall apart. And then they have their first, she said, well, I'll ride the train, the first one over it. And she does. And it's, of course, okay. But But the stuff that you see that happens to the characters in this book are things that are happening literally to people
right now
in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's, and they made a movie out of it, and the movie's just okay. It wasn't great.
When was the movie made?
Probably about 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
Really? There's
actually 3 movies. That's because it's a really long book. And it's okay. The girl,
what was
the girl who was one of the lead characters in Orange is the New Black. She's Dagny, the lead character in the movie. She was in the movie before Orange is the New Black came out. That's part of the reason why I started watching Orange is the New Black, because she was in it, and then I didn't like it and stopped watching it.
Right. So don't you hate that when you like an actor and then they do something and you're like, what were you doing that for? Yeah, that's horrible. What's the name of the movies or the movie?
It's Atlas Shrugged. Atlas Shrugged Part 1.
Oh, is it Atlas
Part
Shrugged?
2. Atlas Shrugged Part 3. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What's your number 2? We're getting to the top.
Yep. Number 2, The Blessed Life by Robert Morris, and basically how to live generous and be a generous person.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Another book that almost made my list is Crazy Love by Francis Chan.
Yeah, it's a good book. It's a really good book.
Similar kind of thing. How to love people, how to be a good person.
This is actually more about finances. How to be generous with your finances.
I see.
This is finance from a spiritual perspective, how to be generous with your money. So specifically. Okay. Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. It's a great read.
Part of the reason why I didn't include Crazy Love, because I expect that to be a topic of a show, is how to love people.
Right.
Because that's my big thing. Let love win.
Makes sense.
Everyone let love win.
Yeah.
Here's my number 2. I actually thought when you talked about that we might have a book in common, this is the book I thought we might have in common. So maybe it's your number 1, or maybe it's not on your list and I was wrong. And that is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis.
Oh, man. Almost made it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be on your list, because I think we talked about it at one point.
We have.
Like in a personal conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, but if you... Well, I started to say, if you're not a Christian and you're interested in what Christianity means, even if it's not from a hey, you should be a Christian standpoint, but just what it means to be a Christian, is a great book to read.
Right.
But even more importantly, if you are a Christian, it's a good read to learn about what it means to be a Christian. And it is a fantastic book. And it really boils Christianity down to what I think it should be. Is very simple. It's mere Christianity. It's a great book.
Yeah, it's a tremendous book.
And it's an old book.
That's another one.
It's an old book. So if you follow the link, wherever the link is, then it's like dirt cheap. Some of these books are even free. Some of them you can find free because they're like, they're not out of print, but like they're not copyrighted. So you can find like the free versions. And some of these, if you follow the link, there'll be like a free Kindle version you can just download and read. And I think this is one of them. I think this, maybe 1984. I don't remember. I remember looking, there were a couple free. So,
hey, let me piggyback. This is not in my top 10. It almost made it my top 10. But since you brought 2 C.S. Lewis books out, if anybody's watching, I would highly recommend C.S. Lewis, Yours, Jack.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read this, but
I could almost do a top 10 C.S. Lewis book.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's just a couple.
And they probably would not include The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
No.
I'm not meaning to diss on that book. It's a good book. He just has so many books that are better.
Have you read his sci-fi series? I have not.
I have not read the entire series. I think I read the first one at one point. And again, I don't read a lot, so I might need to try that again. All right, what's your number 1?
Number 1 book. I read this book about every other year or once every 3 years. It's called The Wigglesworth Standard, and it's just basically like a biography. But this author, Peter Madden, goes through the sermons of Smith Wigglesworth, and he just breaks down his sermons, and it is so powerful about our spiritual walk, obedience to Christ. I read it about every other year just to keep myself in check. So
wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
You ought to read it. I think
you're actually making me feel bad about my number one pick. You went all deep and spiritual and meaningful.
It probably has something to do with anyway.
You might be right about that. Well, here's my number one. I'm cheating with number one because if I didn't, this would have dominated my list. My number one pick is the ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Now, the reason why I'm cheating a little bit, because the ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide is really 5 books in one book. There are 5 books in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, and these are all combined into one large book.
I have to know how this made your top. I mean, this was the top.
It's my favorite book.
Okay. No other reason? Okay.
And I've read it. I've read these books probably 7 or 8 times, maybe. That might be low.
Wow.
I absolutely love them. Now, it combines. If you're a fan of British comedy, which I am, he's English. It combines some British humor and sci-fi. They're sci-fi books, obviously. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Some really good characters that are just funny, and you can't. It's weird. Okay, it was. How can I say? This was adapted. The books came actually from a radio series that Douglas Adams did, and then he wrote the books. And there's tons of movies that have been made, and everything's different. And Douglas Adams was involved in a lot of it before he passed away. And every time he puts out a new edition, he changes something to make it a little bit different. Which is, so you could buy like 4 different versions of the books, and there'll be just a little. Like, for example, there's a whole chapter for some reason in books that are sold in the United States that is not in the UK versions, and I don't know why. Why he's like, well, I think the Americans are going to like this chapter. And some of the things have been changed a little bit to make Americans understand a little better, which makes the purist upset, of course. But as an American, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So the radio version is a little different from the books, and each book version is a little bit different. And then the movie's a little bit different, but all of it is hilarious. But the books are my favorite. The most recent movie that was made was a big production, and I can't remember the guy's name. He plays like crazy people in almost every movie he's in. I can't think of his name now. I should look this up before we start. No, but you're close. He's in that. The most recent movie I've seen him in is The 3 Billboards in wherever, Missouri. That's a great movie. He's in The Green Mile. He was the crazy dude in The Green Mile, if you've ever seen that. The Tom Hanks movie. I can't think of his name. I don't want to look it up right now. Someone look it up and put it in the comments. But and it's a pretty good movie. Actually, it's a little better than I expected it to be, because I don't know how you would put everything that happens in the book in a movie. But it's a fantastic series. It's absolutely hilarious, and the things that happen. I'll give you a brief synopsis. It starts out on Earth. There's this guy who's just this plain guy. He's like the everyman of the book. His name's Arthur Dent, and his best friend, who they've been best friends for like 15 years. He actually finds out he's an alien from another planet, and he finds this out because his friend comes to him and says, "Hey, the Earth's about to be destroyed to make way for this hyperspace bypass, and we need to get off it right now." And he's like, "What are you talking about, dude?" And so they get off the Earth right before it's destroyed, and then it's about their adventures in space after that. And most things that happen. Sam Rockwell, thank you. Tom Morgan just said Sam Rockwell. That's the guy I was trying to think of. If Martina's still watching this, she's going to laugh at me because I do that all the time. Where I'll be like, we have this thing. We were trying to think of something that you put on, like salads and stuff, or I don't remember what brought it up, but we were talking about bean sprouts, and none of us could think of what it's called. And then all of a sudden, I go, bean sprouts, and so when I have that moment, Martina always goes, bean sprouts. But that was a bean sprouts moment. But yeah, Sam Rockwell, that's who we were talking about. Thank you, Thomas. That's great.
Nice.
But anyway, back to the book. There are things that happen that every time I read them, I just roll. I mean, I will be reading and I will just start cracking up laughing. And one of my favorites is his best friend's name's Ford Prefect, and that's kind of a joke in of itself because there was a car made in the UK called a Ford Prefect. There wasn't that many in the United States. That joke's kind of lost on Americans a little bit, but they're going through these they keep jumping back and forth in time because it's something that happens, and they're trying to get back, and all of a sudden Ford, who knows what's going on, and Arthur never does, Ford's like, hey, something's over there. There are eddies in the space-time continuum. And Arthur goes, he is? He goes, no, there's eddies in the space-time continuum. He goes, is he? And he just keeps going back. It's almost like a who's on first moment about eddies in the space-time continuum. And it's every time I read that part, I just die laughing.
Nice.
But anyway, and Aunt Betty says her number one is David Wilkinson, The Cross and the Switchblade.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't know that.
True story. Actually, I just put that away in the attic this morning.
What's it about? Since you've read it,
it's a true story about a gentleman, Dave Wilkerson, who felt God was calling him to minister or be a missionary to the gangs in inner city New York, in the rough part of New York.
Oh wow!
So he basically hawks everything in, goes into the dark part of New York to minister to gangs. And there's a gentleman there, gang leader of I don't remember the name of the gang, but anyway, Nicky Cruz. And Nicky pretty much threatens him and says, I don't want to give it all away, but you need to read it. It's a really good true story. Basically threatens this preacher to kill him. And this just really amazing relationship develops, and this gang gives their life to Christ. It's a really good read.
Interesting. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
I might have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a great read.
Cool. Well, we, again, right before we got on, I said, now last time we did music, we went way over. And I said, let's not do an hour and a half this time. And we're on an hour and 15 minutes right now.
So it's not an hour and a half. See, we did
at least it's not an hour and a half. We're a little bit better. No, I keep intending these to be like 20 or 30 minutes long, and I've not hit that mark yet. And I always think, what am I going to talk about for 30 minutes? And then we get on and it's an hour and 15 minutes. Well, I haven't intended on having you on every time, but this works out pretty good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on.
I have a couple other people who are interested. We just haven't found a date that works for them yet. That's the tough part about doing this in the middle of Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that if I do it in the evening, then once football starts up, I'm going to have trouble. And I want to be as consistent as possible.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we'll
for sure
figure it out. Got anything else for us? I'm going to put up again your website.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's good. Go to TysonPriest.com if you want to see everything that Tyson's involved in. He's about the only person I know that rivals me in things that he's doing. He is he's pastor of the church, the River Church in Lapel. Also the host of the Succeed with Tyson Priest podcast, which I've heard rumors that they have the best co-host and producer ever in the history of podcasting.
Hey, look,
that's coming from a non-biased third-party source.
Let me stop you right there. That's not a rumor. It's absolutely true.
Sweet. The mastermind group we talked about earlier, and also as an author who's written suspiciously, neither of which was on either one of our. Although I did seriously consider God, Sex, Actually Did.
Are you serious?
But there was just too many. Yeah, I just didn't too many, and I couldn't put it on. So, but it was close.
Maybe that
it was the top 11.
Maybe that tells me.
Just gotta try a little harder next time, man.
Do that. Tells me the direction and the style I look.
It was really good. It really is.
Not that topic, maybe that style, maybe. Because the second book is more matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Is there anything else? We got to get something out of it. What'd you say?
Chaplain for the fire department.
Chaplain for Lapel Fire Department. That's important.
So
he's he's the owner of the Buffalo and the best online Madden franchise ever.
Yes, but my heels are being nipped at by Rick Brown, the great GM, and the wonderful Miami Dolphins. So,
all right. Well,
I think we're going to lose people on this.
Yeah, our numbers just dropped tremendously on our. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but thanks everyone who watched. Thanks everyone who participated. It's fun to have people chat. That's my favorite part of this. I don't think I would like to do. This is the bad thing about the podcast. The reactions are later, and we can't react back. Well, and what I like about this is... Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I wonder how we could bring this format to the podcast with our discussions.
I don't think it'd be a bad idea. We can talk about that offline.
Yeah, offline.
But what was I supposed to say? Oh yeah, I really enjoy you guys bantering back and forth with us, and I like the the talking about, like, this time we talked about books. I saw oh my gosh, I can't see it. Oh, Michael Brumback said he missed the music one because he didn't see last week's. It is still on my Facebook Live page. You can still watch it. But it won't be the last music one I do because music's too important to me to not be. But the last one, Michael, was my top 10 favorite song lyrics of all time. So if you're interested, you should go check that one out. It was fun. But we'll probably do something else with music at some point. I just want to make it varied, lots of different topics. We'll probably talk about movies at some point. We'll talk about sports, Justin Bates. We'll cover a lot of topics. I just really want to have fun and just interact with people, and I don't have no other agenda besides just hanging out with people. So that's my goal, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. All right. Well, Tyson, we're going to get off here.
Yes, sir. Sweet.
Join us live. I plan on being back next week, 3:00. You can always watch rewatch them later, or if you come in late, you can watch what you missed or watch anytime on demand on Facebook, on either the Rick Brown Live Facebook page, or I'm also on YouTube. You can watch it live on YouTube or watch it when it's finished. YouTube actually has a little DVR function, so if you come in late, you can actually back up and watch it live, where with Facebook, you can't do that. You just come in when you come in, but you can watch it again later. It'd be nice if they changed that. It's a good thing about competition. Maybe now that YouTube does that, Facebook will start doing that. We'll see.
Right.
Anyway, join us next week. Send any comments. What do you want to hear about? Post on my page, post on my personal thing, post on YouTube, make comments, whatever. Tell me the topics you want to talk about. I would love to talk about what you guys want to do, and I'm open to anything. Well, almost anything. I would nix some things. So anyway, join us next week, 3 o'clock. We'll see you then. Thanks again, Tyson.
Thanks, Rick.